Ever wondered who's really pulling the strings in the political theater? Well, let's dive into the murky waters of political manipulation, a show that's being played out on a grand stage every single day. Picture this: politicians as actors, delivering their lines not from the heart, but from a script written by unseen puppet masters. This world is full of these puppeteers, operating behind the scenes, their hands expertly maneuvering the marionettes that we see on our screens. Politicians, you see, often play roles scripted for them by these hidden forces. And what's their motivation, you may ask? More often than not, it's personal gain. Public service? That's just a convenient mask, a facade they wear to play their part convincingly. So, the next time you see a politician making promises or grandstanding on television, remember this: there's usually a puppet master in the shadows, pulling the strings. Yes, the world of politics is more than just what meets the eye. Let's delve into the world of Joe Biden, the 46th President of the United States. Joe Biden, a name that resonates with many, not just in America, but across the globe. As the 46th President, he has been at the helm of numerous policy decisions, but let's take a moment to peel back the layers of his political persona. In his journey through the political labyrinth, Biden has faced multiple claims of twisting facts. Consider a claim made by the Washington Post, which asserted that Biden falsely reported that he had been arrested in South Africa while trying to visit Nelson Mandela in prison. The truth? He was merely delayed at the airport. Another instance comes from the factcheck.org, where Biden was accused of inflating the number of military deaths and COVID-19 cases by saying, more than 6,000 military COVID cases in America. I mean, 6,000 military COVID deaths. The actual figures were significantly lower. One more instance that raised eyebrows was his claim on the campaign trail that he had opposed the Iraq War from the very beginning. However, according to PolitiFact, Biden had voted in favor of the Iraq War in 2002. While he did become a critic later, his initial support was undeniable. These instances paint a picture of a man who has been accused of bending truths and manipulating facts. But we must remember, these are but a few instances in a political career spanning more than 4 decades. In this arena, perception can often be a double-edged sword. However, it's important to note that these claims are not unique to Biden. Many politicians have faced similar accusations. It's a phenomenon that seems to go hand in hand with the game of politics. So, is Biden a puppet, a puppeteer, or a bit of both? That's a question we'll leave you to ponder as we continue to navigate the complex and often murky waters of political intrigue. But it's not just American politicians who've been caught in the act. Let's take a journey around the globe, shall we? It's a vast stage where political dramas unfold, with actors wearing the masks of leaders, yet dancing to the tunes of deceit and manipulation. Over in the United Kingdom, we've seen politicians like Boris Johnson accused of twisting truths. Remember the Brexit campaign? Johnson and his team famously claimed that the UK sent £350 million a week to the European Union, a claim that was later debunked as a gross overestimate, yet the damage was done. The seed of mistrust was sown, and the rest, as they say, is history. Now let's fly over to Brazil. Here, President Jair Bolsonaro has been accused of downplaying the severity of the Amazon fires, claiming that NGOs were starting them, a claim that lacked substantial evidence, but sowed the seeds of doubt and deflected blame. Let's not forget Russia. President Vladimir Putin, a former KGB officer, has been at the helm for more than 2 decades. His critics accuse him of suppressing dissent, controlling media narratives, and allegedly orchestrating a series of apartment bombings to consolidate power. A claim that's been hotly debated, but it's hard to ignore the whispers of manipulation. And these are just a few examples. From India to Italy, from South Africa to South Korea, politicians have been accused of bending truths, twisting narratives, and pulling the strings behind the scenes for their own benefit. Often the truth is the first casualty in their power games. So, it's clear, political manipulation isn't a uniquely American problem. It's a global issue, a human issue. And it's high time we addressed it. Because at the end of the day, we're not just talking about politicians lying. We're talking about leaders manipulating narratives, shaping perceptions, and ultimately, controlling people. It seems the puppet show is a global phenomenon. So, what can we, as ordinary citizens, do about this? A question that echoes in the minds of many, as they navigate the complex web of political rhetoric and propaganda. But fear not, for we are not powerless. In fact, we hold the greatest power of all, the power of thought and action. In this information age, the internet is a double-edged sword. While it can be a source of misinformation, it is also an invaluable tool for independent research and critical thinking. It has never been easier to fact-check a politician's statement, to delve into the intricacies of a policy proposal, or to explore different perspectives on global issues. But remember, this requires an active effort on our part. We must question everything, never accepting information presented to us without scrutiny. This means digging deeper than headlines, looking beyond sound bites, and questioning the motives behind political narratives. It's about understanding that every story has more than one side, and it's our responsibility to explore them all. And yet, critical thinking alone is not enough. It must be coupled with active participation in the democratic process. Now you might be thinking, but I'm just one person, what difference can I make? Well, let me tell you, you can make all the difference. Consider this. In a representative democracy, politicians are elected to serve the interests of their constituents. If those constituents are well-informed, critical thinkers who actively participate in politics, the politicians will have no choice but to respond accordingly. Your voice, your vote, your activism, these are the tools you need to effect change. And so we must strive for freedom, not just from the chains of political deception, but also from the shackles of ignorance and apathy. We must strive to become more informed, more critical, and more active in our political landscape. We must strive to change the narrative, to demand accountability from our leaders, and to create a world that reflects our values and aspirations. Remember, the power to change the narrative lies in your hands.